Welcome to LaChance Encounters. I'm your host, Alex LaChance. Please like, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening, watching, YouTube. Leave comments, give a thumbs up, leave reviews, whatever it is that you can do on that platform. That will really help me. I just released my most successful episode, so thanks a lot for that. Let's keep this train moving. Today, I've got Sean Kelly of Comparion Insurance Agency. He is an insurance agent on the podcast, and we're going to get into some insurance topics, but I think some stuff that Sean does outside of his business is a little bit more interesting to most people, even though insurance is something we all deal with and have to deal with. So, Sean, why don't you tell me a little bit? You're involved in a charity and some of those things that that charity has done. Just give me a bird's eye view. And
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Alex. I really appreciate it being here today. So I'm involved with the first one I'll talk about is the Guys That Give a Shit, which is a local charity that was started, I think it's probably like over 5 years ago. I think it was pre-COVID when we started. It's basically just like it sounds like a bunch of guys that give a shit. There was a gentleman that started it. His name is Kevin Jack. He works for, I believe it's Granite, Swanson Granite up in Concord. The story I've heard is that he moved here from Canada, didn't know many people, got this job, and he wanted to, just give back to some local charities as well as, get out there and meet some people and network. So he formed this organization. A bunch of guys get together, and when you hear about charitable giving, I'm sure you probably get hit up quite a bit with, hey, I'm looking to raise money for this local charity, or
I don't know. I think people think real estate agents are greedy and don't ask us.
Exactly,
much.
Right?
Yeah.
So his idea was like, hey, we're going to just get together on a quarterly basis, so once every 3 months, and he asked that everybody who comes donates $100. So your total in is $400 for the year. And what happens is, if you become a member, you show up, you can nominate a local charity. And if he randomly draws, so he takes 3 charities each meeting, so he'll randomly pull a name out of a hat and reach out to those charities, say, hey, we got 40, 50, now we're up to 180 or so guys that come. So do the math of that times 100, whatever that works out to. I can't carry the one that quickly. Sales math is how I do it in my head. So anyway, a lot of money is raised for these charities, but these 3 charities will come, do their little presentation, and at the end of the meeting, all the guys that are there, we vote on who we think should, win the lion's share of the money. Every charity that does show up gets, I think it's like $500 or $1,000, and then there's a winner from the group. So it's actually, I think we've raised upwards of $250,000 so far for local charities. So it's a really cool way to get together with a bunch of local people, meet some people, network, but also give back to local charities. So the thing I like about it is, you hear about all these large charities like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is they have their own fundraising department, or like all the ones that are like Dana-Farber and Jimmy Fund, right? Those are so large. They get a $10,000 donation from a bunch of local guys isn't a drop in the bucket to them. It's obviously good. Right. With that said, I like the
if you donate that amount of money to a large charity, you kind of don't know where it's going. Right?
Exactly.
You don't see the result. Yeah.
So the very first meeting I went to years ago, there was the charity that ultimately won that night was some camp up in northern New Hampshire. I kind of don't remember the name of it, but I remember him saying, the person who presented saying, if we don't win this tonight, our camp is going to fold. Like, we don't have the funds. Wow. So it was really impactful. So that kind of like resonated. And hence why I continually go. So if you or anybody else are interested, the next meeting is June 25th. It's a Wednesday out in Pembroke Pines Country Club. They have a great new location and clubhouse, and we usually do it at a local watering hole and have some drinks, some cocktails, and just hear some great stories of some local charities and gives to a good foundation.
That's amazing. So have you nominated a charity yourself?
I have.
And been successful with that?
Yeah. So the other charity, one of the charities I nominated was near and dear to my heart, is called Camp Exciting, E-Exciting. So it's a local camp that we started. I was on the founding board to start this charity for kids that are visually impaired, blind and visually impaired. And the reason it's so resonates with me is because my youngest daughter is legally blind, so she's visually impaired. She's 15, and she's been dealing with it since like 2 years old. So when you're blind and visually impaired, like, summer camps are a little bit more challenging for people who are blind and visually impaired because there's a lot of visual stuff that's going on. So a few years ago, there was, once again, going back to pre-COVID, there used to be a camp for blind and visually impaired kids in New Hampshire, but the woman who ran it, once COVID hit, I think she just retired and decided to give it up. So a bunch of parents and some great people within the community started talking about it, and we decided to, try to get this up and running again. Now, we have this camp that's every summer, and we're running again this year. So I did nominate them I think it was about a year and a half or 2 years ago, one of the meetings. And the great thing about it was at that local meeting, for the guys that give a shit, they sent, board members, and then my daughter, who at the time was 13, went and did a small presentation, which I think I've uploaded on my Facebook or something like that. But so she was presenting, just picture a 13-year-old girl presenting in front of about 120 dudes at Beaver Meadow Country Club in the clubhouse. And she's reading she had a speech, prepared, and she's reading it. So she has a Braille reader, which just regenerates Braille underneath, so you don't have to keep moving your hand. So it just, like, it's a,
okay.
So it's pretty cool. So halfway through her speech, it cut out. So,
oh no.
Right. So my wife and I are in the
and
crowd.
I assume probably her first time doing any serious public speaking, right?
Of course.
Right?
I mean, she might have done a little bit in front of her class, but so just picture yourself, if it were me in front of a room full of 120 dudes that I don't know, I'm going to freak out, lose your space.
Yeah.
But she stayed cool, calm, and collected, got the thing reset. And it was probably a good 30 seconds, which, as you know, if you ever did public speaking, 30 seconds seems like 5 minutes. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So my wife and I, my wife grabbed my hand, looked at me like, should we go help? And we were like, let's let her see what she does. Dude, she just got herself back to what she was and crushed it. Yeah. Everybody gave her a standing ovation. Suffice to say, we won $15 grand for the charity that day, which was great.
I think often you find children like that, they're so resilient because they've had to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to wish that on anybody, but it's given her strength in a bunch of other ways, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Having to go through that. I remember you and I were doing, we did a first time home buyer event together. We were hanging out after at the bar at the bonfire, and we were talking with the at the time title guy, but who's now a mortgage guy, who has an autistic son, and me as a young father, and both of you have much older children. You're further along in that journey, but I have, I don't know what you say, a typical daughter who's very easy. And I look at you guys and I go, I don't know if I could do it, because even my daughter, who has no unique challenges, who's by all accounts just, I couldn't ask for more. I don't know how she came from my genetics, But you had said, I had said to you, I just don't know how I could do it. And I'll let you gave a response for that I thought was, I don't know if you remember, but I'm sure you can still have a response for that.
I do have a response, but I don't remember exactly what I said. But everybody has their own challenges, and you would do whatever it takes for your child. And I know you as a dad and as a person that I completely believe that any father or any parent would do whatever it takes that they need for their child, and you sacrifice, you do, that's why I go to work every day, It's for my wife and kids.
Yeah. And that is pretty much exactly what you said, right. That was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Right. But, saying the same answer that you don't remember after 2 or 3 years shows that you're genuine, But yeah, and that was important for me to hear, I think, because I think parenting kind of gets easier as you go along, but it also gets more complicated. And we're starting to hit points where it's like, dealt with a school bully recently, and these kind of more complicated, more nuanced things within parenting, and you're 100% right. You're gonna do whatever you have to do for your kid. You're gonna step out of your comfort zones for your kid. You're gonna, take on challenges. You're gonna work harder for your children, and I think it was important at the time you said that to me. I think it was important for me to hear it. Like I'm like, I don't even know how people have 2 kids. Like I have 1, and that's all I can do, running around to every single activity, every night of the week, and all that stuff. And but you're right. I recently took on. I know nothing about gymnastics, but I can go into the gymnastics school and I can watch her train, and I can watch the things they're having her do, and then I can try the best I can to replicate that at home for her and work with her, and I have. And it's like, if you would have asked 20-year-old me if I'd ever even consider like helping her train to do a split or a bounce, like that's not even remotely in my wheelhouse. But because I'm a dad, because that's my daughter, that's what she's into, here I am figuring it out. So yeah, definitely important for people who are considering parenthood or just starting out with it to hear that. It's like, hey, you will just rise up to whatever your kid needs and get it done for 100%. Sure, which is awesome. So moving away from that, let's get into your actual business, the thing that you want people to know about. Well, obviously you want people to know about the other thing, and it would be great if some people went down and to your Guys Who Give a Shit meeting. I'll try to push this out a little quicker because I think this was about 3 weeks out. But if I can skip it ahead and get it out and have a clip to help you promote that. Yeah. The long form content is still growing. It's the last episode I released is the most successful. It's going up every month. The clips is what's really helping the people who come on. I just had one go viral on TikTok with 160,000 views, and the guest from that podcast said, I got a bunch of new followers, and some people in the comments said they were going to order from her. She runs a small online retail shop. So it could help you. I don't know why I'm gloating about myself here, but anyway, insurance though, I think this is it's an aspect of that I deal with in both real estate and mortgage. It's something that everybody deals with. I mean, if you drive, if you own a home, even renters, it's a good idea to have rental insurance. Life insurance is a good idea if you have a family, of course. So all these insurances, but I don't think anyone really knows the ins and outs of it. We were just talking before we started recording, there's not a lot of people in your industry that are out there educating like there are in a lot of the other industries now. I mean, information and marketing is kind of the way of the world now, but I don't really see people doing it in insurance. And I still have a lot of conversations with people about insurance where I can tell they don't know, and then I also don't have the answers. So it'd be great to get some insights on some of those things. So first off, you're an insurance agent.
Correct.
And you are able to sell policies from multiple insurers, correct?
Yes. So there's insurance companies and then there's insurance agencies, right? So the company is the insurance company that provides the coverage that you purchase, usually through an agent. You could also go direct through a carrier, like go to Geico, Progressive.com and buy directly. But if you're not getting the expertise of having an agent, kind of explain, because let's be honest, people, insurance, to the layperson, they know they need it. Most people don't really fully understand it. And that's where I come into play. So you really think about insurance, I usually say it's like twice. One, when you're buying it, but more importantly, when you need it, you want to make sure it's there for you and lives up to the promise that you expected when you purchased it, right? So I kind of help navigate those waters, and I can shop around with multiple different carriers to make sure that my client has the right coverage at the right price and make sure they understand what it is that they're purchasing, so that God forbid if they do need it, they're going to be happy with what they signed up for, basically.
One of the pushbacks I always get when I refer you, and I know why I refer you, but my motivations and thought process is different than the actual consumer that eventually has to pay the bill, and both of those things have to align for it to be a good referral. But one of the pushback I always get is like, well, why would I go to somebody like that? They're obviously making money off of it. Why wouldn't I go straight to Progressive? Why wouldn't I go straight to Geico? That's the pushback I always get. And for me, as a real estate agent, referring is, especially in this, I also do mortgages, so refi, this is less important. But in a purchase transaction, as a real estate agent, we need fast processing, we need accuracy, because your documentation is going to go through underwriting for that buyer. And if it's not right, just had one recently, my client went Thankfully, it's a very long closing time, but sometimes we're trying to do 3 weeks, and everything needs to go perfectly for that to happen. But he went directly to his company that he insures his car through, and mortgagee clause was wrong on the binder, which not a big deal in this case. But if we're getting that binder the day before closing, which sometimes often happens, people procrastinate big time on getting insurance. That closing might get delayed because that's not going to get fixed and go through underwriting again in time to close. So that's why I'm like, use Sean, because he understands. You've been working with real estate agents for years. You know exactly what's needed, exactly what needs to go on there. But the pushback is always, well, why would I go to a middleman? And I get that in mortgage too, because I'm I work for a broker rather than a lender. So what do you say to that when? And I know that's. I mean, we talk objection handling in sales. I'm sure that's one that you've talked about.
No, I definitely
whole
have.
Career.
It's a great question. So basically, clients have, or individuals have the right to, do exactly what you said. If they want to go direct, they definitely can do that. With the challenges that might come with that, could be such as, like you just brought up. If I need to make a change, if the closing date changes, if I need to adjust something on the mortgagee clause, or if I have to swap the names around or remove somebody from the policy because only one person's on the mortgage, so whatever the scenario is, call the 800 number and see. Every company nowadays, you have to speak into it, and you try to want to get just a representative, and then each time you get a different call center representative that might not even be in this country, and it might not go as smoothly as possible. So what I say to that is, hey, I'm here, I'm local. You have my cell phone number. I have a team behind me if I'm out of the office that can assist in whatever is needed. Because honestly, I think people being heard and talking to a live person that knows and is competent and know what it is that they're looking for can navigate those waters and get them whatever the documentation or whatever the change or answer the question.
And the right coverages, right? Because you said, you want it there when you need it. And I think a lot of people don't even think about that part. It's like it's a requirement for the mortgage. It's we have insurance because in New Hampshire it's not required, but we have it because if I get into an accident and I kill somebody, I don't want a $5 million bill from the lawsuit, But I think nobody really thinks about that in the time that they're purchasing. And another thing I will see, and another reason I advocate for you or somebody like yourself, is that you get the right coverages. Because I've seen, somebody shops around and they're like, show me what they got from you, show me what they got. And I'm like, yeah, but Sean's actually insuring you for what it will take to rebuild your house. Yep. This other person isn't. They're not really paying attention to what they're doing. And that's so important too. And like you said, I just always say customer service and execution when you're purchasing a house is completely trumps any real savings or perceived savings that you think you're going to get by trying to cut corners or trying to go to the lowest common denominator. Because if anybody in the process, because I say it with lenders all the time, before I had my mortgage license, it's like, yeah, go to Citizens Bank. Great. You saved your monthly payment's going to be $40 less a month. Cool. You just lost the house because they weren't done in time. Mm-hmm. Was that worth it? It's not. It's never is. So that's my, but they're never that. My reasoning is not what they're thinking, because they're, especially now, people are stretching themselves to the limit to buy houses. So they're watching every single dollar. So I get the motivation, but when it goes wrong, you really end up wishing you had an expert helping you out. I mean, I see it.
Yeah,
every time.
For sure.
Every time somebody goes, I'm going to chase the bottom dollar. I've seen it with home inspectors. I've seen it with insurance. I've seen it in mortgage. I've seen it in contractors that people hire to do work before they sell a house. All these things. It's like you're trying to just chase the bottom dollar. And again, I should emphasize, Sean insures my cars and my house, and I think his pricing is very competitive. I have shopped around. I know, so I'm not saying that you're more. I don't want people to think that I'm saying you're just going to be more expensive. But
no, like you said, I can shop around multiple carriers, so I do have those carriers that are going to be the most affordable. But like I said before, you get what you pay for in certain scenarios. So my job is to educate you as a potential client. Help you navigate and put you in the right coverage at the right price.
And it's like you said, being local, giving out your cell phone number. Don't have to call any 100 line. Like I literally can text you and say, Sean, I need this, and you'll either call me and tell me I'm wrong, or you're going to just send me an email with the stuff to sign to make it happen. And that's, I mean, time is so valuable. People forget that too. It's like, how you're going to spend all day calling 12 different insurance companies when literally, and waiting on those automated lines and yelling, representative, and it doesn't work. It sends you to the wrong department. That person can't help you. Half the time they don't even know what's going on. I just called, this is a funny story. I just called to cancel my Comcast because Fidium is now in Bow and I switched over to Fidium. And because with all this video stuff, I need the upload speed of fiber. That was the main reason I went to do it. But anyways, I called to cancel. And this guy tells me he's in Egypt. And I started talking about how I wanted to go to Egypt, but we were looking at other African countries, and I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I was like, but it'd be cool to see the pyramids. And he goes, wow, you know the pyramids? And I'm like, this guy doesn't even like that's, yes, we all know the pyramids. But then
one of the 8 wonders of the world. Right?
But then he tells me that it's his first day, and he's like, really, like, I hope I've done a nice job for you, and like all this stuff, and I was like, this guy, I'm like, doesn't have a clue what's going on. But I had to go bring my modem back to a physical location, and I got there, and they're like, yeah, they didn't cancel your account. So exactly, the same thing happens in insurance. Same thing happens in all these big corporate worlds where you don't have a one-on-one relationship with somebody that you can just get a hold of. It happens over and over and over again. So it's great that you have that. What do you see now? Something that's become an issue in real estate is insurance companies seem to be really tightening up on condition of properties. More and more I hear people being told they have to fix things. A client of mine just yesterday told me that her daughter, who was also a client of mine, was asked to go through her house and give a video tour to her insurance company, and they asked to see certain things. I mean, there was like a slightly corroded pipe under her sink, and they're like, well, we have to fix that to continue your coverage.
Was it a mobile home or is it a stick-built house?
No, stick-built house. But like, don't get me wrong, I get why they want the plumbing to be right. I mean, that's not crazy. But I don't remember hearing that. I mean, I've been a homeowner with the exception of a 4-year gap for the last 20 years now. And I don't remember until very recent times. We had the issue with my house. Yeah. You had to switch carriers because they were coming out telling me my roof is bad, and the drone shots. I'm like, find the shingle that's bad. I don't see it at all, So like, what is it that's triggering that? Do you think? Do you have a reason? Are you hearing stuff from up top?
Yeah. So great question. In the last, I've been doing this 16 years. So insurance companies, on the home insurance side, when you move to a new carrier or you're buying a house for the first time, you would have your general home inspection for the purchase, but then the insurance carrier may do their own inspection when you write the policy. And that inspection, the purpose of that is the carrier's looking for any type of potential risks that could lead to a claim. So you bring up a roof. Roof is one of the most common things here in the Northeast. Age of, specifically shingle roofs, age and condition of the roof to see. They want to make sure that it's in good condition. So, if you see peeling, curling, missing shingles, or ice dams, God forbid, in the winter, because that could cause, water backup. And that's one of the most common claims in New England is, roof damage leading to potential, water leaks and so on and so forth. And then they're looking for potential liability risks. So you see more than 4 stairs with no railings on them. You have that, you ever see the doors to nowhere, the second story door that is a slider that they just never put the deck on. And, insurance companies don't like those. Some will allow it if it's boarded up. But
I had to put a rail across one for financing reasons a couple of years ago. I was saying the deck was there at one point, but it rotted and they tore it off.
And never replaced it. Yeah. So all those are potential liability risks. So think about it from if you're the insurance company, it was your own money, right? And you see the house that's like, hey, I'm charging you $1,200 a year for this $300,000 home, and then they do an inspection and be like, all right, this roof is 25 years old. It looks like it's nearing the end of its life. Likely that it's probably got to be a claim sooner rather than later unless you have that roof replaced. So, the insurance company is like, hey, we want you to, replace that roof sooner rather than later, or we won't even insure you. And there are a lot of other reasons for that. But the home insurance side, you've seen, it really comes down from, a lot of, especially national carriers, it stems from bigger payouts. We're in a litigious society, one, so more liability risk and claims have been paid out on that side, but also on the weather-related claims and losses that insurance companies have seen. Insurance is a big risk pool. Everybody shares in the risk. So you might not have ever put a claim in, but, we all share in that risk. So if one carrier has a lot of payouts and claims, they still have to be profitable. So they have to share the risk, and you might see rates increase even though you never put a claim in. That's just the science and the math of insurance, basically.
Yeah. I would say, we've definitely seen increases a little bit more rapidly over the couple of years, just based on what I'm seeing from my own clientele. But I don't think, as far as a lot of inflationary things that have happened, I don't feel like homeowners insurance is one of the worst. Like, it hasn't gotten drastically worse, but it's the denial of coverage that I'm seeing happen more frequently. But that makes sense. You're right. Like, more people are likely to sue. People are, tighter. They're going to more likely to make more claims. The claims are higher because the property values, the cost of buildings higher. So that does all make sense why they might start tightening up on that. But it always surprised me, because another stat I had seen, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was saying that homeowners insurance is actually the ratio of premiums paid versus payouts is actually like the widest gap, I guess, of all the insurances out there. So to me, it was always like, well, why do they need to get so strict? Like, why aren't they more concerned with my car having brakes? Like, why aren't they,
Well, think about it from this perspective. You have one or two big, large loss payouts, total loss, right? You have a $1.2 million home that burns to the ground. That'll take, if it's a $30,000,
that's
$50,000
thousands of
car,
people's premiums for the year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And on the flip side, the car insurance, if you have a $50,000 vehicle, the multiplier to have that same payout for one claim is dramatically different.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's just a numbers game. And you brought it up too. The inflationary things, the cost of building materials, labor costs are all increasing. And when you purchase a house, you're going to hear how many different values of your house, right? You have market value, tax value,
appraised value,
and then there's replacement value.
Right.
All four of those are going to be completely different, and sometimes completely way off, right? Because if you have one house at 12,
in New Hampshire, assessed value is never on par with anything.
No, definitely not. We want it to be lower to pay lower taxes.
Although Bose just got closer.
Yeah, they did.
mine's not far off from the true value now.
So anyway, so you need an expert. Going back to what we talked about earlier, you can navigate that whole thing direct through the carrier or online, but it might not be accurate because as a lender, some lenders be like, hey, our loan amount is $450,000. You're only insuring the house for $300,000. They want those to be equal, but insurance is designed to pay out to make you whole again. So we estimated what it would cost to rebuild. So that's where we came up with $300,000. We don't want to overinsure the client because you're not going to get $450,000 if you insure for that.
If it's a $300,000 rebuild on Lake Winnipesaukee versus a $300,000 rebuild in Rochester, the property value is completely different. So the sales 100%. Prices are never going to line up with the replacement value. Yeah,
right. So explaining that to a client, is important. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's good. Again, another reason to have an agent that can actually explain to you and look out to make sure that you are covered in the event that something unfortunate does happen. Thankfully, that is rare enough that people have to make homeowners insurance claims. This is a real no-brainer question, and I know the answer, and I know what your answer will be, but I think a lot of people think this might be a fictitious thing. Is bundling real? Like, I've heard people push that, like, no, that's just a con to get you to insure with the same company. And I'm like, no, I've definitely seen the savings a bunch of times.
So it definitely is. Most carriers do offer the full suite of products. Some carriers are just, offering just property or just auto. But in most cases, I'm going to always ask when somebody's buying a house or if I'm helping with the car insurance, I'm going to say, hey, to maximize your savings, I'm going to put together the best package, and it might be better to put it all together with the same company to maximize your savings.
And I got to say, you're so talented with that. And I have one example, but as a salesperson, so talented with that because I sent you a guy that I thought was the most difficult person of all time. He could barely hear me on the phone ever. And I said, Sean, don't go. Can you just get him insured? Because he's got to have insurance. And don't try to get the auto policies. It's never going to happen. And you're like, I don't know, it was 20 minutes later. You got a text. I got the auto too. I was like, yes, nice job. But I just thought there was no way in hell with this guy. But, that's 16 years of sales skills that got you there, and probably got him to the right place too. It's not like you were just using, your skills to make yourself more money. You actually probably helped him out. I'm sure with his insurance policies and lowered. I used to say, and I just haven't seen it be exactly true anymore. But when I was referring Joe that I used to work with from Comparion as well, before he left, was he would often. The savings on the car insurance was so good for some of these people that had expensive cars with full coverage that it completely wiped out the cost of the homeowner's insurance. Like if they had, $3,000 or I don't know, $1,500 a month of car insurance, say you'd like knock $750 off. That math doesn't work out. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're wiping out so much. Like most people now, when they go from renting to homeownership, they're increasing their housing costs. It's almost across the board. You'll see a lot of people out there like, you rent the same as you can, or buy the same as you can rent. And it just isn't really reality. Homeownership is well worth the increase in cost, in my opinion, obviously. But yeah, people are always like, oh man, I'm going up in bills. But I'm like, hey, you just saved $750 a month in your car insurance by bundling it with a house.
$750 a month would be a big car insurance payment, but it could probably mean.
I should have said year. Yeah, year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's all right. No, I know
the whole time I should rewind all that and insert year everywhere. I said month. Sorry. Yeah, but save $750 a year on the car insurance, and now you got a $1,200 homeowner insurance. You only paid $450 for that homeowner's insurance policy, and that's. You look at that because so often, and we talk about this with refinance a lot because as lenders, like it's, I don't want to talk about it like we're always just trying to get people to spend our money with us. Like there is a good reason. But as lenders, as rates climbed, it was like, okay, we were making, and not me because I wasn't there, but making so much money on the refis for a couple of years there. And then that was gone as rates. And it was like, okay, well, how do we keep our business the same? How do, where we're sitting right now, built up a big office, and then that business disappears. A lot of people came in and got their license, and we're living off that stuff. So it's like, how do you maintain it? How do you keep the refis going? And the narrative was, and it's actually true. At first, I heard it, and I was like, that sounds like kind of manipulation. But it's true, is like you look at your whole household budget, right? And if you can say you got $50,000 of other debt outside of your house, if you can take that out of your house, take a bigger loan on your house, pay off all that other debt, and your total monthly bills are being reduced by $1,000 a month because of that. That's $1,000 a month in your pocket. So, same thing with the bundling of insurance and the, everybody's only looking at the high end number of each thing, but look at it as a package. And like, especially home ownership too, it's like that now you've locked in that principal and interest payment. The only thing that's going up is your taxes and insurance, which your landlord's going to pass on to you anyways. Like people don't often look at the whole big picture. They just look at the big round total number. And that's when you talk about bundling insurance and again, going to an agent that can help you navigate that and find the best way to do that. It's so huge for people and their overall budget for sure. Switch gears a little bit more of like, how did you find yourself in the insurance business? What led you to pick that as a career? So it's actually to me, insurance of all the sales things has always sounded like the least exciting. So I'm always like, how do people get there?
So that's a great question. So I don't know if you knew this. I used to manage a consumer lending company back in the early 2000s for about 10 years. So I did consumer lending, which dealt with personal loans, equity loans, and mortgages. And then during that whole credit crunch in 2008, that my company pretty much folded. So at that point, I was looking around, and the lending industry was going through some really troubling times. So I just found that Liberty Mutual at the time was hiring and said, hey, just gave it a shot.
Yeah.
And that's 16 years later.
It was a close enough correlation to some of the skills you already had, probably.
Well, I had to build, start my book of business all over again.
Were you in the sales side of that?
So I was managing, but I was a sales manager. So I managed a team of, agents that were pretty much selling loans, right? That was our job. Going back to what you were talking about, like refinancing, that was a big part of our, our job at the...
Well, because you could leverage every dollar out of your house pre-2008.
Right. We were doing 125% LTV loans. You've seen the TV shows. And
I just got email from some lender that said loans at 102.5% LTV, and I was like, oh, here we go again. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't want to go back to that time, those times, because that led to bad things.
Yeah.
But so it was a natural transition. So I had a lot of clients that I helped with, just doing loans for them. So it was easy just to reach out and say, hey, I'm doing this now. I'd like to help you out and save money and review your auto and home.
That actually makes a lot of sense because really the need for insurance never stopped.
Right.
Whether the need for mortgages slowed down, the need for real estate agents evaporated for a bit. But, insurance was even I don't know, actually. I was going to say a lot of properties became bank owned, but don't the banks still carry insurance on?
They do.
It's a different. It's not the retail.
Yeah.
But like in any event, the point stands is like insurance kept going. I mean, everybody still had a car. It might have been a shittier car, but they still had a car. I got laid off. I bought my first house in 2006, foreclosed in beginning of 2010. We made it pretty far, but both myself and my roommate within the first week of January. I came back to work January 2nd, laid off. And my roommate, who I purchased the house with, was within a week he had lost his job too. And in the meantime, his girlfriend, mother of his child, that we had all lived together for quite a while, had left. She was contributing a little bit as well, and we were just like, okay, the bank can have it for sure. But I still had to drive. I still, I went into a rental. I never purchased renter's insurance because I'm irresponsible. But I needed insurance is what I'm getting at. So it makes sense, that transition. Now, obviously, it's changed a lot since your time of starting out. But do you see it as still a very viable career for new people to hop into now? Would you recommend somebody hopping into insurance at this point?
Yeah, so I think it's a very viable insurance, always going to be needed. So getting in at the ground floor when you're younger, it's a great way to build a great career. And I think it's something that can be very lucrative over time, and just understanding, the ins and outs of any industry, insurance being a very challenging one to, I've been doing it 16 years. I'm still learning stuff every day because, all different new companies that are coming out, carrier restrictions, or carrier opening up their, appetite for new business. Now, the whole thing with AI, I don't know how it's going to, impact our business going forward too. So
that was kind of the next thing I was going to get at. It was like from, a new person's perspective versus, and we see it in real estate too. It's like technology has made it harder in a lot of ways to break in because people have such easy access to, with insurance. It's like I was just screwing around. I saw some website and I liked what their tech looked like or whatever, and I was like, oh, how does this work? And before I knew it, I had 12 insurance carriers calling me. It was within seconds.
Like
I was like, why did I just put my real? I was just seeing. I was like, how does this website form? It was like it looked different. I can't remember what drew me to it, but I'm like, I was just interested because I just follow marketing trends and stuff like that. But I'm like, why did I put my real number in there? That was so stupid. But as a new insurance agent, are you hearing from the younger people starting out like it's a little bit different and a little bit more challenging for them to get people to give them a chance? Or
well, I think the challenge is just if you have to have a natural market of people that you know and trust, because you could go the whole route of smile and dial and just buy leads,
right? And
then it's transactional, right? Yeah. I don't like being a transactional agent at all. If most of my clients know me, they can pick up the phone and call me and be like, "Hey, Sean, this is what's going on. Can you help me out? Can you navigate this for me?" And that's what I like doing. I've taken 16 years to do that. I have a large book of clients that I can rely on me for that type of stuff. I've never been the type where send me from a car dealership, just here, this kid needs insurance to get off the lot and he's going to cancel and go find something cheaper, some other carrier down the road. Or just purchasing leads, because you could do that and then just become relying on the internet, and their only value is the cheapest price, right? That's what most people look at when they shop online. So
if you make I find that in the mortgage side versus the real estate agent side is it was harder to make a personal connection, so people are less loyal. Once you've made that personal connection, it's harder. Not that I'm trying to trap my clients, but it's less likely that they're going to leave you.
Well, they see a value in what you provide, right? So that's what it really comes down to. I mean,
and we just become legitimate friends. I've been shopping. You helped some clients of mine a while back, and I've been they just with the car insurance because they moved from Tennessee to New Hampshire, and I brought you up last night for some reason to them. We were out on a house. It was something to do. It was some insurance question, but they were, oh yeah, Sean. I forgot that I referred them. Like, oh yeah, Sean was great. He was awesome. Really helped us out. Got us good prices. And it's like they knew you by name. It wasn't like just I called this company. And personal relationships, and that's, I think, in any sales job, most of us start out with our own little sphere of influence, the people that already know us, because it's hard to get somebody to give you a chance on something so big when you can't say you have experience.
It's the most valuable asset, right? I mean, so you want to make sure that it's in the right hands, and when everybody involved in that, protection of that asset and financing of that asset and so forth. Because let's be honest, the house is the biggest thing the common person's ever going to purchase.
What's the path to becoming an insurance agent? Is there an educational process? What's the barrier to entry? Because I always contest that both real estate and mortgages are way too easy. Like, people get in, it's a 40-hour class for real estate that you leave knowing nothing about how to fill out a purchase and sales agreement. You leave knowing nothing about where to find business. A lot of bunch of laws that you'll never have to know again. And then mortgage side's even crazier. It's only 20 hours. I think the spirit on the mortgage side is you're less on your own when you enter mortgage. There's a lot more supervision and back end on it than there is real estate. But still, both of them, I'm just like, why isn't there more training for something so serious?
Well, think about back when I was saying, back in the early 2000s, there was no anything like that. You could just get a job and get hired by a company, and somebody took a chance on you. Well, now
I love talking to people that were around pre-mortgage crash and that were doing really well, and because most of them will even say, like, we should have never done that. Like, there's guilt with some of those people, but it's some crazy stories. I mean, just because the money was coming in so fast. It's a lot of people my age that I'm talking to were in their 20s then, so they're going crazy with the money, and like one guy was telling me, The Big Short. There's a scene where
I was thinking the same thing.
There's a scene where they're talking to some strippers that all own multiple houses, and they have no income on paper. They
were qualified for loans.
Yeah, I talked to a guy locally, and he was talking about that era, and he's like, The Big Short with the stripper scene. He's like, that was real. We used to go. I had an office right by Mark Showplace here in Bedford when it was still Mark Showplace, and he's like, we would go over there, meet the strippers, and we would get them to take loans and buy. And we couldn't show any income on paper. We just got them loans.
And those mortgage people weren't licensed to sell mortgages either. You didn't have to have a license.
Yeah, I don't really know if that was the case or not.
I believe so.
But I mean, crazy, just insane that was allowed, and in such recent times.
So insurance is a regulated field now, and always has been. You have to pass licensing exams, on multiple different exams, state specific, and then you can be appointed with different carriers, and then just rolling with, getting hired by either an agency or directly through a company, and having somebody train you up and the ins and outs of the whole process.
And there's good training programs like within your own company? And
within my organization, we have good training. So because we're owned by a large company. That's something that's really
lacking in a lot of on the real estate side is a lot of these big brokerages advertise, training, support, mentorship, and then you talk to people that have gone to them and they're like, I was just completely on my own. I needed to fill out a purchase and sales agreement for an offer on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. and nobody would help me. That sort of thing. I'm just curious if you run into those same challenges or if it actually is a good system with training and education, because I see so many people, because there is no resource, not great resources in real estate, fail. So it's like maybe if you went into a different sales field that actually does have the good resources, they might succeed.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's because like I said, our agency is owned by one of the large insurance companies, so we have a great training program. When I was trained, it was really hands-on training, and it's really important to have somebody, a mentor, kind of take you under their wings to kind of show you. And we have positions in which they can do that to kind of lead to becoming your own agent, or if you want to stay in like an associate role to, for your career, that's a possibility as well. So yeah, there's definitely options.
Yeah, it sounds like you would say that overall, overarching, it's still a place that somebody can go. And I say this all the time, is like sales jobs are those things that you don't need you can come from any background and you can be successful in sales. You don't need big formal education. I think we need more in my businesses, but you don't, as of now, you don't need it, and you can change your life with sales, because if you're commission based, there is no limit on your income. It's just based on how hard you want to work and how good you can get at what you do. So it's something I've been advocating with a lot of young people. Now that I started doing mortgages, I'm seeing these $100,000, $200,000 student loan debts that don't add up to what they're making in any, it's insane. Like the return, if you looked at it at that degree as an investment from any other investment metric, it would be the worst return of investment you've ever seen. Abysmal, and a lot of people, if you're passionate about something, you know what you want to do, and go to school, follow that path and do it. No shame in that, but to just go for the sake of going with no clear goal of where it's going to bring you to somewhere that you're passionate and excited about, a sales job, if you're cut out for it, is great. Not everybody's cut out for it.
Not everybody. That's the thing. You find out. Some people say they are, and then, believe me, I've seen a lot of people coming through.
Well, a lot of people go, it's just talking to people. I'm good at talking to people. I'm social. I know a lot of people. It's like, yeah, but you also have to execute. You also have to do the job that they're, a lot of it is this stuff, putting myself out into the planet and making sure I'm in front of people and being, a fun guy and an interesting guy and social guy. But if I couldn't actually, once they came into my world, if I couldn't actually get them across the finish line of buying or selling, then I would have no business. That's for sure. So yeah, it's when I know I'm big into the hardcore punk scene. I was in bands for a long time, and a phrase that I've heard recently is it's for anyone, but it's not for everyone. And I feel it's kind of the same thing with sales. Is anybody could do it, but not everyone's going to, for sure.
Well, you think it'd be easy to sell car insurance, right? Everybody has a car,
right?
But not everybody's coming to me for their car insurance, so you have to kind of have a way in which to connect with these people.
Yeah. Is it a world where they're like the top? People have always said in real estate, the top 20% are doing 80% of the business. Does insurance tend to be that way as well?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know the actual number.
I believe that it's more 90-10 or even worse now. COVID really shifted that business upward for sure. It became, on the buyer side, it became like a more skill-based market. And even on the listing side, where you're, sitting there and rifling through 30 offers and trying to tell your client what to accept. I had a lady tell me, a listing agent on an offer, and I was explaining the financing situation with my buyer to her, and she's like, "Oh, I only do listings. I don't know anything about financing." And I was like, "How do you advise your clients what good financing is when you're looking at multiple offers? You got to know that stuff." And I think it became more and more important that people were more knowledgeable, and that's what's caused it to even shift more towards the top people doing most of the business. I always seem to be right below that top tier, whatever it is, which is, to me, that's the sweet spot.
Yep.
'Cause I don't want to be so busy that I can't enjoy my family and my life. Some people don't care. Some people don't have families yet, and some people don't care about the rest of their, just stack the money. Yep. I don't care about anything else. I want the nicer car. I want the nicer house. I want 3 more houses, and it's just different motivations. But that's again the great thing about sales is you can kind of choose
100%.
how much. And it's when my daughter's gone, maybe I will push harder. I don't know. I'll still be.
Maybe it might take time.
I'll still be in my 50s, or I might not. I'll be in my 50s, and it's kind of perfect stage in life to just whichever way I feel like going. All right. Well, that went by very fast, Sean.
It did.
You're a good guest. It's past 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. I can tell the good ones when it goes by fast. If I feel like, oh my God, I'm still trying to fill time, it's not the best ones. Although all of them have been good, I will say. None of my guests have been bad, but some are easier than others, So anything that you want to plug one last time? How do people find you?
Yeah, sure. For one, I want to go back to, anybody who's interested in the Guys That Give a Shit that's coming up on Wednesday the 25th at Pembroke Pines Country Club. And then, you could find me Oh boy, I guess sean.kelly at comparioninsurance.com would be my email, or 603-583-3275 is my cell. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me.
I can throw that. I got to start doing this. I can throw those things down in the show notes on
Okay.
the audio
Yeah,
and
that'd be great.
in the caption on YouTube. I keep forgetting to do stuff like that. I'm still hitting my stride here.
Sure.
But yeah, thanks a lot for coming in. That was
Appreciate it.
awesome. A lot of great information. And reach out to Sean for all your insurance needs. If you're feeling charitable, hit that Guys Who Give a Shit meeting and do something good for the community. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.